page 7 of your class notes onto the page 45-45-90 triangle, and that's the page that contains the material we're using in class today. So you need to access that so you have that material.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we're resuming. Turn on the device, you need to go ahead and put that up. And you need to find, out of the 3 sheets you were given, one of them, it's a 2-sided sheet. It says 45-45-90 graphic organizer. Okay, you need to find that sheet. You should have just received one. Okay, does anyone need one of these? Okay. So I will let you use this on your upcoming test that you have next week. Okay, so this will be very beneficial. It's got some examples that will look very similar to what you can expect to see on the test, and it will also help you follow along. Okay, I'm giving you all this because I know this has been kind of a trouble spot, so I want this to give you some extra support. So I'm going to show you how to use this, and then you're going to have to do some extra practice time. Okay? And then after that, we're going to look again at Pythagorean theorem. So what it tells us at the top is a 45-45-90 triangle has 2 legs that are congruent. Okay, so they call this an isosceles right triangle. So in this case, AC and CB have the same measure. And the hypotenuse's measure is the same as the measure of the leg times the square root of 2. So in a problem, you're going to be given one of those, and you have to find the other leg. So there's only 2 possibilities. Either you were given a leg, okay, we're going to call that case 1, that's covered in the box on the left, or you were given a hypotenuse, which is case 2, and you'll use the box on the right. Okay, so to use this, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at what a problem gave you and ask, is it a leg or hypotenuse? And then that will tell you whether to go to the left box or the right box. So I'm going to show you the 2 steps. This is for case 1, if you were given a leg. So first thing you do is you can find the other leg. And that's easy because they're both congruent. So leg 1 and leg 2 are equal to each other as far as their measures are concerned. So that part is pretty quick. If one's measure is 7, the other leg's measure is 7 too. And then step 2 is to find the hypotenuse. And it clearly shows you your hypotenuse is equal to one of the legs times the square root of 2. Okay, so if your leg was 7, then your hypotenuse is just 7 times the square root of 2. And you're done. You found both legs. The second case, that's where you've been given the hypotenuse. And in this case, your first step is to find one of the 2 legs. They both have the same measure, so it doesn't really matter which one. But what we have is that the leg is equal to the hypotenuse divided by the square root of 2. So in this case, if the hypotenuse were 7, then the leg would be 7 divided by the square root of 2. And then we'd have to rationalize our denominator. But that would get you started. And then step 2, you find your second leg, you just set them equal to each other. Okay, so let's actually work out some examples. You want to follow along with this, and then you'll practice some on your own. Okay, so if you flip your organizer over, the back side, it says test aligned examples at the top. I copy pasted this from your exams that you have next week and changed some of the numbers. Okay, so this looks just like what you can expect to see next week. So you're given a triangle, ABC, it's 45, 45, 90, and you can see in each case they give you one of the sides, and you have to find one of the other sides. And you're going to use the organizer to do it. So this first one is that it says if AB equals 5 times the square root of 2, then CB equals, hey, did they give us a leg or hypotenuse? Which one?
Or they gave us the hypotenuse.
It's a hypotenuse because AB is the side sitting across from your 90-degree angle. Okay, so they gave us a hypotenuse. So on that organizer, is that the box on the left or the box on the right? Hey, I want to look at your paper real quick. There's case 1 and case 2. And it tells you one's for leg, one's for hypotenuse. So is that one on the left for hypotenuse? It's case 2, yes. So in that case, you want to come over to case 2. The problem gave me the measure AB. And so step 1, find one of the other 2 legs. And to do it, the leg is just the hypotenuse divided by the square root of 2. Okay, so we know the hypotenuse, and we need to divide it by the square root of 2. Okay, so that means that CB is equal to our hypotenuse, 5 times the square root of 2, divided by the square root of 2. All right? And then, if you remember your cancellation facts, the square root of 2 in the numerator and denominator cancel out, and that just leaves us with 5. So CB equals 5. And there's your answer. Okay, so you identified if you're using a hypotenuse or a leg, and then you use the left box if it's a leg, or the right box if it was a hypotenuse. Okay. Try a second one. So again, this one gave us AB. Is that a leg or a hypotenuse? It's a hypotenuse. So we're using, again, the box on the left. So find your box. You got it in front of you. If you flip your paper back over, you'll see that was the case. No, it's the case on the right. Yeah, it's case 2. And you'll look your step 1. I'll zoom it and put it on the board again. You should have it in front of you. Step 1, leg equals hypotenuse divided by the square root of 2. So we're back at that situation. Okay, so that means that once again, as before, AC is equal to 7 times square root of 6 divided by the square root of 2. Okay, because that was our step 1. Okay, if you can get it to this point, I can still give you partial credit. The next thing you need to do, though, is you need to simplify this. And what you remember, we've seen previously, is when you multiply or divide an expression involving radicals, you multiply or divide the things inside the radical, and you multiply and divide the things outside the radical. And in this case, we've got a 6 and a 2 inside a radical. So you can just divide them. So we get 7 times 6 divided by 2 under a radical, which is just 7 times the square root of 3. And like I said on your test, These are going to work out very similarly. They'll just be different numbers. Okay. I'm going to do 4, and then I'm going to leave 3 to you. Okay? So on 4, is that a leg or a hypotenuse that they've given us? That's a leg. Exactly. So this time we're looking at case 1. That's your left box. So if you look at your organizer in front of you, you will see that on this left box, step 1, we find the other leg. Okay, well they're equal. So we know what the other leg is. But it says our hypotenuse is just the leg times the square root of 2. So all we have to do is multiply the leg that they gave us by the square root of 2 and try to simplify. Okay, so AB equals 4 times the square root of x, and then 4 times the square root of x is the leg, and we're supposed to multiply that by the square root of 2. So times the square root of 2. Okay, and now, remember, you can multiply or divide things inside the radical, and you multiply and divide things outside the radical, so the 6 and the 2 multiply. Okay, so we need to factor or to simplify. Okay, so 12 splits into 2
What do you want me to do?
and 6, and then 6 splits into 2 and 3. Okay, so we circle our pairs and our single. Okay, we need one representative from the pair outside our radical to be 2, and we need that single under the radical.
So,
Okay, now this is the part that might be slightly confusing. What we've done, I'm going to highlight this. We took square root of 12 and we simplified it to 2 times the square root of 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch those 2 out. I'm going to switch square root of 12 for 2 times square root of 3. And so I'm going to get 4 times 2 times the square root of 3, which is just 8 times the square root of 3. Okay, so there's your final answer.
8 to square root of 3?
Yes, 8 times the square root of 3. You double check. Yeah. Okay. So what I'd like y'all to do, you will have about 25 minutes. You're going to start practicing these problems. You have problem 3 to finish on the back of your organizer. And then you also received a sheet I'm going to put on the board. It says special right triangles 45, 45, 90. Okay, you'll also want to work on that page. And I'll come around and help you if you're still fuzzy on this. Okay? So y'all can go ahead and begin.